Hey, this is Eddie from Gamersfire.com, and today I'm giving you my first impression of Oddworld New and Tasty.
Follow me.
So let's start off right at the beginning with when I first clicked the game title in my Steam library. I immediately discovered that once again, I've run into a game that refuses to launch. I could hear the game, but all I got for a picture was an input not supported message from my monitor. So I'll try to sum up my process for fixing it as quickly as possible so we can actually get to the game. This looked to me like something was happening where the default resolution of the game was something my monitor would not support. So after trying several different ways to force the game to launch in a friendly resolution, I found that pressing Alt-Enter while it was running to force windowed mode did get me a picture. From there I could go into the settings, set the resolution to 1920 by 1080, and check full screen, and then the game worked the way it should. Now as best as I can tell, the game defaulted to a resolution of 1920 by 1200, which my monitor does not support. Why they would default to a resolution that is not supported by a standard 1920 by 1080 monitor is beyond me, but I hope that my experiences maybe can help some of you who might run into a similar issue. So next I went into the graphics settings, which is usually the first thing I do with any new game, and I tried to raise the overall quality a bit, but you have to be careful doing this. For me, it shot all the way up to the highest quality, which tried to raise that resolution again. But this time, instead of just giving me an input not supported message, my whole computer crashed and I needed to restart. So at this point, I got the game going again, and I just decided, f*** it, I'm just going to start the game at the default settings so I can actually play some. But apparently, I took too long to read the controls before starting, because my computer crashed again, and I needed another restart. And my computer didn't just crash. It crashed so hard, my keyboard and my gamepad forgot what color they're supposed to glow. That's a new one for me. So now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to actually move on to the game. So I started a new game and quickly clicked through the difficulty and control screens, and it jumped right into the opening cutscene. And this is where I'm going to first mention the best thing about this game. It is still, absolutely, the same game you fell in love with back in the day. The cutscene runs exactly how I remember it, from when I was a kid sitting at home on snow days playing my PlayStation 1. The only real change is the updated audio and visuals. This game was rebuilt from the ground up to take that same original experience and modernize the way it looks and sounds, and they nailed it. The original style of the game really translates to modern graphics in an amazing way, so I'm going to start with the characters. All the original strange designs from the different creatures have been kept exactly the same, and it's a nice reminder to a time when games thrived on fantastic out there designs that were, well, odd. The design of the creatures in Oddworld has always been this kind of unnatural, almost hybrid of inspiration from a bunch of different types of animals that we're used to create these new, otherworldly beings. And the new graphics really just take those animals and breathe new life into them in a way that just really makes them believable despite them being so ridiculous in a lot of ways. And the environments look beautiful with their current gen makeover. All the industrial equipment running in the background during the initial escape and the harsh light from the fire burning in the background creates a very hostile feel that you really want to get out of. And as you move to the stockyard, everything is backlit. There's no light provided for the animals kept here, but the whole factory burns bright in the back. It creates this feel that these animals were really thrown here and then forgotten about until they need to be used to go make some meat in the processing plant. Then that all gives way to this soft nighttime as you move to the outside, and the sky's full of these blue clouds that go off into the distance and gives this cool glow on everything. It used to be impossible for games to look realistic, so they made them stylized instead. And updating these original styles to modern technology really creates a game that's just plain nice to look at. It takes these fantastic ideas and puts a spin on them that's not realistic, it's just believable and organic and has life to it. Oddworld always had a cool feel to it, but with the new technology worked into it, especially with the lighting, I feel like this is what the designers imagined when they made the original game, what was really going on in their heads, and then they just got as close as they could. The audio is also a higher quality now, and the main point I noticed with this is that the Gluckins are actually speaking.
And you can see things are going down. What are you gonna do about it, huh?
As a kid playing the original, I always thought they were just making grunting sounds instead of coming up with some new language. All the dialogue sounds exactly how I remember it. All the character voices,
Everybody, hello, hey there.
the sound effects for movements, including the Slig's mechanical walking, and Abe's sneaking sound. They all sound exactly like the original. So let's move into the gameplay now. This is the part that should have seen the least amount of change since the original, and it is. The game basically feels the same. still feels like each section of gameplay is an individual puzzle to solve. Somehow you gotta get through without being killed by sligs, mines, falling, or other creatures, and if possible save all the Medakins, which I can't really pronounce even after all these years. But anyway, speaking of getting killed, I will say this is not an easy game. You will die a lot. But not in a way that'll ever make you say, well, this is just impossible. You always feel like there's something really simple you're just missing, and you'll get it if you just keep trying. Or a screen just takes several steps and you get a little further with each try. Hold still for the motion detector, but then you have to crouch for the floating mine. So you hold still for the motion detector, then crouch, but then you have to sneak because there's a slig sleeping there. Step by step, you will get through it. There's not a whole lot to say about the controls because it's a pretty straightforward control scheme. I do remember playing the original back in the day and having trouble with Ave not jumping forward when I meant him to, or not jumping in time before I ran him off a ledge, things like that. And I will say the controls feel updated and way more responsive now. I felt like Abe was always doing exactly what I intended him to do, even if what I intended wasn't always the right thing to do. The game does have full controller support, but I have yet to buy an adapter to make my Xbox 360 controllers work with my computer. So I was going to have to use my keyboard, which I thought was going to be a problem, but it really wasn't at all. I felt fine using the keyboard. The original controls were from a time when analog sticks were not very popular, and I played the entire original game with the D-pad on the controller, and when you think about it, that's much more similar to a keyboard than to a modern console controller. I'm sure I will try the game with a controller and use the analog stick at some point, but I honestly expect I'll work better with it using the directional buttons. The only time I had any real trouble with the controls is using the up and down arrow keys to aim where you're going to throw a rock or grenade. It's just very oversensitive, and hard to guess where it's actually going to go. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Got it. So what's my first impression? I f***ing love it! It's Oddworld, how could I not? They were starting with great source material here, and all they had to do was not screw it up, and they succeeded. Most games that we love out of nostalgia, we accept that we only really love because of that nostalgia. They don't actually hold up to all the advances that have been made in gameplay, but we still play them anyway. This game feels different. I truly believe someone who has never played Oddworld could pick up this remake and fully understand what all the hype is about and get sucked in just like we all did back in the old days. It's just plain fun. This game is guaranteed to make you laugh, whether you're running Abe into walls, trapping sligs in creative ways, or just talking to other Medakins.
Everyone. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hey there. Break time's over.
So seriously, grab this game, sit down with some friends, and do some good old-fashioned gaming where you pass the controller when you die. I promise you, you will have a good time.